They willingly and unashamed, they're not embarrassed. They run to you with their drawings and they show you these drawings like they think they're the greatest drawings that if anybody's ever done in the world. And you just don't have to tell a kid those kinds of things. We're born with this innate sense that we were meant for greatness. But then something happens. All it takes is that one person, that one time in your life where somebody says, well, that's really not as good as you think it is. Or, Johnny over here, he's actually better at drawing than you are. Or, I was looking at your drawing yesterday, and if you could just be a little more precise with it, it would look more real. I mean, that doesn't even look like a cat. And what made you think that was a cat? And these little nuances of negativity and criticism begins to change literally what we think about ourselves and about our place in this world. And as we get older, that begins to happen more and more and more. And if it wasn't for great people in your life who tell you the opposite, who stand up against those obstacles and say, people that say, don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. I love your drawings. I love it when you bring me your drawings. I love to see what you do. And then you kind of gather yourself back up. All of you have had situations in your life like that, right? If I were to ask you right now, how many of you think that you can draw? And how many of you would actually raise your hand and say, yeah, I can draw? Very few of you would probably be confident enough to say, yes, I can draw. Here's the truth is this, though. All of you can draw. Every one of you can draw something. Doesn't matter if whoever decides if that's a great drawing, all of you have that capacity within you. It may not be your greatest talent, but you can draw. You can contribute. And so what we want to begin in this series called Greatness is we want to define it the way God defines it. If some of you are struggling right now, some of you have been beat down, some of you have had failures in your life, you're coming out of a broken marriage, you're coming out of a lost job, you're maybe in midlife crisis, and instead of the glass being half full, you're thinking, well, my life's half over, I'm half dead. It's half time, right? And this is a time for you not to step back. This is a time for you to step up. It's a time for you to step forward. Because what I've learned in my 42 years of life is 42 years of life. And I get to learn from that. I get to glean from that. And I believe that as we get older, the best is yet to come. And as we age, we have even greater things to offer because we've experienced so much. We've learned so much. How many of you need that this morning? How many of you want to believe in greatness again? Do you want to believe that this morning? Well, that's where this series is going to take us. That's where we're going to go. So I want you to be encouraged. But as we dig in, we're going to learn from this story, one of my favorite stories because it's so real and it's very ironic as well, of how Jesus talks to his disciples. So I want you to think about some things. All of us deep down, we want to do something great. All of us deep down at the end of every day, we want to know that my life mattered today. Did it make a difference? Am I doing something with my life that is significant? None of us want to waste our life. None of us want to end that way. We want to know that our life has a point. And why do we all feel that way? Because that's the way God made us. Why are we afraid of being great? Why do we confuse humility with timidness? Because it's not the same. That is not what humility is. But we think that if we're timid and we act like we're downtrodden, that's what God wants, that's humility, but it's not. Listen to this in Mark chapter 10. So here are the disciples traveling with Christ on the way to Jerusalem, and Christ has already told them twice what's going to happen. Okay, everybody say twice. Say it with a T. Twice. He already told him twice. Okay, we've already lost weight this morning worshiping because it was so awesome. All right, I burned like 1,000 calories during that one song. I love that. So now we're going to learn good English, okay? Say twice. So twice Jesus, as all the English teachers are frowning, he's already told them twice that what's going to happen, okay? That he's going to go to this city, they're going to arrest me, they're going to spit on me, flog me, whip me, they're going to kill me, and 3 days later I'm going to rise from the dead. So all of a sudden, the glamour and the attention and being famous with Jesus is over. The crowds have dissipated because when Jesus stopped giving them, right, food, pizza and french fries and all the stuff that they love, right? When he stopped performing for them, the crowds dissipated. Now it's just Jesus and the disciples. And they're on their way to Jerusalem. He's already told them twice, and then this is where they are. Jesus was walking along ahead, and as the disciples were following, they were filled with terror and dread. So the guy that first came to you, that said, "Follow me, because I'm God," that guy. The guy that you walked away from your entire career from to follow. The guy that hoodwinked you into being a part of his movement, right? His new business, so to speak, okay? The guy that conned you, so to speak, into following him, right? And you thought there was going to be fame and fortune, and it was going to be amazing, and this guy was going to take over the world, and you were going to be right there with him. That guy, now isn't so famous anymore, not so wonderful anymore, because the tides have changed. And they're filled with terror and dread. What sounded amazing and wonderful has now turned them to terror and dread. Why? Because he's already told them how many times? That we're going to go to this town, they're going to arrest me, they're going to spit on me, they're going to flog me, they're going to whip me, and then they're going to kill me, and then 3 days later I'm going to rise from the dead. I don't think they're even hearing the end of that sentence. I don't think they really believe the 3 days later raise from the dead part, or they wouldn't be filled with terror and dread. Are you with me? And taking them aside, Jesus once more began describing all that was going to happen. This is a model of horrible parenting. Okay? This is totally appropriate for grown men. Man, you don't treat a kid this way, right? Your little boy comes to you and he says, "Oh, Daddy, I'm having nightmares. I'm so afraid." And he says, "Well, come here, let me tell you a little story. Well, tonight, there's going to be a man that comes into our house and he's going to take Daddy away. And he's going to spit on him. He's going to kill him. And then 3 days later, Daddy's going to rise from the dead." Mama! I mean, how is this encouraging? They're filled with terror and dread. He's already told them. And now he's going to tell them thrice. Okay? This is amazing. So he pulls them aside. They're filled with terror and dread. So let's just magnify that. Let's just pour it on. So when we get there, I, the Messiah, will be arrested, taken before the chief priests and the Jewish leaders, who will sentence me to die and hand me over to the Romans, which were the most feared soldiers in the land, to be killed. They will mock me and spit on me and flog me with their whips and kill me. But after 3 days, I'll come back to life again. So how do James and John, the sons of Zebedee, respond? So they come over and they speak to him in a low voice. Hey, Master, you do us a favor? What is it, he asked. We want to sit on the thrones next to yours in your kingdom. They said, one at your right and the other at your left. I think they finally got the raising from the dead part. Because now all of a sudden, their terror and dread turns to ambition. And now all of a sudden, their flesh comes out fully and completely. Not quite the way Jesus probably wanted them to respond. But because he's God, no surprises. He knew they would respond that way. So Jesus, if that's what's going to happen, I don't want to ask for much. I just want to sit either right here or right here. Why? Because in that context, those were the most powerful. When you sat to the right or the left of the king of the land, you were the most powerful people in that world. You see what they're asking for? They wanted to be great. They wanted greatness. Because probably that's why they signed up for this adventure to begin with. Their definition of greatness. But we're going to find out that Jesus always turns the table upside down. And what we think is great, what the world thinks is great, what James and John thought was great, is not what Jesus defines as greatness. Not the way they were thinking. And Jesus answered. The master answers. You don't know what you're asking. Are you able to drink from the bitter cup of sorrow that I must drink from, or to be baptized with the baptism of suffering that I must be baptized with? See, we've got it made. Baptism is wonderful in our modern Western American Christian culture. We get to celebrate. I mean, it's just this beautiful, wonderful thing, and it should be. But not in this context. See, back then in those days, when you made a profession of faith in Jesus Christ, when you said Jesus is Lord and I will follow him, he is my God and there is no other, and you got baptized, you might as well put a tattoo on your forehead that said, come after me, martyr me. Because that's what happened in that culture. When you were baptized in Christ in that culture, they put a bounty on your head, they hunted you down like an animal, and they snuffed out your life because you followed Christ. Because they were trying to eradicate this man, this God-man. They didn't want anything to do with a man who claimed to be God because they were afraid. And in that fear, there was evil, and people died daily. Who wants to be baptized? That changes things, doesn't it? And Jesus was reminding them of exactly what it is they signed up for. And here's their response in verse 39. Oh, yes, they said, we are. And I believe that they were. Even not fully understanding what Jesus was really saying, I believe they were sincere. And Jesus said in agreement, you shall indeed drink from my cup and be baptized with my baptism. But I do not have the right to place you on thrones next to mine. And so here the Son acknowledges the authority of the Father. He says those appointments have already been made. The Creator has already decided. In 41, when the other disciples discovered that what James and John had asked, they were what? Oh, they were so supportive. James and John, we agree. I mean, it'd be like, your two oldest siblings going to your dad. Hey, Dad, you're going to be taken away and killed, and but, you got this business. Well, we just want to be right here and right here, that's all. And your siblings come in and say, you know what? Oh, we love our oldest brother and our oldest sister. We support that. Yes. Isn't that how it goes down when your parents die and there's the estate to take care of? Well, it doesn't work out that way for you. Nobody's indignant, right? And so there's obviously tension. So Jesus called them to him and said, as you know, the kings and great men of the earth lord it over the people. The world's interpretation of greatness is control. And the great kings, they lord it over the people. And the people become not someone for them to serve and love and protect. They become these things that are used to make themselves what? Greater. Right? That's the world's definition of greatness. If you want to get to the top, it's just having the guts to step on enough people to turn them into your staircase to get there. Right? But among you, it's different. got to be different. Whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant. See, in that culture, the Jewish people thought that Jesus was going to be king, that he was going to free them from this prison that the Romans had put Israel in, this oppression. And that's not what Jesus came to do. Jesus didn't come with a political agenda. He didn't come to build a nation. He came to build a kingdom, a supernatural kingdom that transcends national lines and national boundaries, that exist in this world and outside of this world, because he's God. And they were just beginning to understand that. And so he teaches them one of his greatest lessons. The master teacher is fully at work here. And he turns the table. But among you, it is different. Whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be greatest of all must be the what? What? That's hard to say, isn't it? Must be slave or servant of all. So at Journey, we have a model that we believe God designed. And so at Journey, I'm not at the top. We don't do top down at Journey. You know where I'm at? Guess where I'm at? The very bottom. You see the difference? See, the world's model of leadership looks like this: CEO, president, founder, and everybody under him. The Jesus model turns that completely upside down. And it's the servant model. See, at Journey, servant is a good word. It's a beautiful word. And we talk so much about leadership and leadership and leadership and leadership. And we think that leadership is, makes us great. And it does if it's understood in the context of servant leadership, in the context that Jesus is trying to teach these men. So that puts me at the bottom. What does that mean? That means that I have to carry the most. It means that I'm here to support everybody. It means at the end of the day that I have to be a slave to you. That doesn't mean that you take advantage of me and that you bury me. That's not what that means. It means at the end of the day that I'm responsible for making sure that we create a culture of servant leadership at Journey and in this community. Because that's what it means to be great. Jesus said, if you want to be first, make yourself last. Jesus said, if you want to be great, then go plunge that toilet back there. It just won't seem to go down. Who wants to be great now? Then go back in there and shake hands with one of those amazing people in the nursery who just changed your kid's stinkiest poopy diaper, and you don't even know that they did it. They spared you a smell that would drop a cow. Right? And we call it greatness, because it is. Where's Jay at? Jay Hargis, where are you at? Teaching kids. All right. Who is signed up today on the facility team that's supposed to go around today after everybody's gone and lock up and cut the lights off and take out all the trash? Who's that? Is it? Okay, you guys come here. We're going to acknowledge the greatest. Will you give it up for the greatest right here at Journey. So I wrapped this and put a bow on it for you. This isn't anything near what you deserve, but it's a symbol of our appreciation of doing the great things, the little things that matter. Half of you probably don't even know who these people are. But you know what? They don't really care about that. That's not why they signed up. They signed up because they get it. And when all of us have had this amazing Sunday with wonderful music and the AC's working, because thank you for giving, because giving made that possible. And we walk out of here, and we're all talking with each other as we want you to, and we're experiencing community, and we're thinking about lunch and where we're going to go. This couple right here is going to be walking around in love, serving you and serving me. Doing something really simple, but very, very important. Cutting off lights, making sure the HVAC is programmed to shut down so we don't waste our resources, taking out the trash everywhere, generally just making sure everything's good to go and kind of shut down because they're great. Do you agree with that? All right, one more time. Let's hoop and holler for this couple right here. Thank you. We love you guys. Thank you. Jeff and Andrea right there. But among you, it is different. Whoever wants to be great among you must be your, and whoever wants to be greatest of all must be the. I remember several years ago, we were new to this facility, as a church plant, and this is a fixer-upper, right? This is a fixer-upper. But it's a gift because God has given us this facility, and we're sitting on 10 acres of land here at a very, very affordable price. God made it happen. We shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be able to afford this, but God orchestrated that, okay? And we've just been humbled and grateful for that. And I remember one Sunday, I'm up here teaching, okay? And we're all good. And back there in the back, nobody knew it, but there was a break in the sewer line, okay? Instead of the pipe being smooth, the pipe had done this, okay? And so there was a lip. And so in the men's bathroom, every time somebody went to the bathroom and they flushed, it would go through the septic line. The septic tanks are out there, and the field lines are out there. And about right in there under the sidewalk is where that break was. Nobody knew it was there. Only God knew it was there. And everybody's flushing, we're getting real at Journey this morning. And about halfway through my message, it all starts coming back. You remember that, Ron? You thought you forgot that. You're welcome. So, and I never forget, Scott Getz and Sam Shaw were back there with mops, and it was about an inch or two deep of all the gifts we had brought to Journey that morning. And the greatest people were back there cleaning it up. You didn't even know that story, did you? That's because great people don't care if you know. And they were slaves to us all. For even I, the Messiah, am not here to be served, but to help others. And to give my life as a ransom for many. Just let that sink in for a second. The God of the universe, the Creator, came to earth to serve you. Who does that? Why did he do that? He's God. He's the Creator. We're the creation. He's here. We're here. He's the Amazon River. We're less than a spoonful of water. He's every drop of water on every ocean and sea and lake and pond and creek in the world. And we're less than a grain of sand on the beaches of planet Earth. And he came to serve us. It's overwhelming. Here's the main thing. You can be great because you can serve. It's that simple. You can be great because you can serve. If you're at a place in your life where you want to know that you make a difference, that you want to know that you're significant, then serve. Then when you get back to your office, you look around at all the employees and you consider them greater than yourself. And you begin to ask yourself, how can I serve them? If you're a boss and you own a company or you're a leader in your company, then you walk into the office on Monday morning and you look at them through a lens that you've never looked through before. And all of a sudden, you see yourself in a different position in your whole leadership structures in your company, and you put yourself at the bottom and you become slave of all. And you find that your destiny as a boss is to make their lives better. And you know what just might happen? I think your company might grow. Maybe. It's not a promise, not a guarantee. But very likely. And many of you model that. Those of you that I know, some of you business owners, I see it. I see it in you, and I see it in the culture that you're creating where you work. Hey, you want a promotion? You know what every boss is looking for? It's people that say, I'm not here to be served, boss. I'm here to serve. How can I make this company better? Any bosses want employees like that? Any employees want a boss that walks in and looks at you and says that they don't exist if it wasn't for you, that this company wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for you, and that they serve you, that you don't serve them, you don't serve the company, they're here for you? Who wants to work for a boss like that? You know what Jesus offers us today? He offers us a God who thinks like that. A God that says, you don't work for me, I work for you. I'm the God of the universe, but I came to serve you. I came to make your lives great. I came to give you an opportunity. I came to give you a vision. I came to give you a mission, a movement that will radically transform the world. And he says that I want you to be a part of it. Who wants to follow a God like that? Who wants to love and serve a God like that? And God created you that way. You should want greatness. Don't you settle for less than greatness, and don't you confuse humility with timidness. Because you were designed for it. You were made for it. But don't you misdefine it. You were destined for greatness as God defines it, not as the world defines it. God says this. Jesus said, be humble, be vulnerable, be quick to help without accolades. So what's keeping you from serving? Here's some obstacles. Maybe you think you're not good enough. Maybe you're still listening to the naysayers, the Hoovers of your life that have sucked the life out of you. Maybe you're listening to the wrong people that say that you can't, that you're not good enough, that you've messed up too much. Maybe there's some sin in your life that you still are hanging on to that Jesus has already forgiven you of, and you say, well, I'm just not good enough. I'm not qualified. Because you've forgotten who you are. You're a son of God. You're a daughter of God. You've been forgiven. You've been set free. You've been baptized. You've been cleansed by the blood of Christ. And no one can take that away from you. Not even yourself. Not even your own sin can erase what Jesus has done for you. That's what makes you great. Because this great God chose you to be a part of His kingdom and a part of His movement. And that's what makes you great. Hey, husbands, what would it look like if you served your wife this week? And her wife's going, I could use a good slave. Just saying. And the husbands, and the wives, what if you served your husband this week? I ain't going to say what they're thinking. So anyway, you are greatest when you do things for the bigger mission, even when you don't feel like doing it. You are greatest when you are humble, not timid, humbled, but powerfully humble, exalting God and those around you. Humility does not equal timidness. So how will you give your life so that others live better? Some of you sponsor a child somewhere in the world through Compassion International. It could look like that. You sacrifice your resources every month to make sure that a child has a better life. It could look like that. Some of you are on a rotation and you're signed up to serve in the nursery and the children's ministry. It could look like that. Some of you are on the facilities team and you're signed up and you're just another great couple like Jeff and Andrea who serve us when nobody else is looking. We've got elders who meet behind closed doors and pray for you and lead you and love you and oversee what God is doing here. And there's accountability and there's trust and there's faith and there's health. It could look like that. Some of you could open up your home and lead a small group, lead a life group in your home so that you can create community so that people will feel loved. Some of you could go out here on Wednesday night at the North Hall Trojans football field and help those guys who serve those young men and paint the field on Wednesday night. But they'd love for you to help them out. We got one in the back saying amen. And just this Friday, Coach Bishop gave Journey the opportunity for us to go in there and cook chicken for the football team for their pregame meal. And Mark Reeves, who works for the gas company, let us use the gas company's grill to be able to do that. We had a blast. It's fun to serve. It's not always easy, but it's fun. It's rewarding. It makes you feel great. It makes you feel like you do matter. It's amazing how putting others first meets your needs. Isn't that amazing? It's upside down. You see that? Maybe that right now you've got a neighbor. You've got a neighbor that needs something. One of our neighbors is Miss Kimberly. Miss Kimberly is the daughter of Larry Burkett, who founded Financial Peace way back in the day before Dave Ramsey. There was Larry Burkett. Well, we moved into a place, and I found Larry Burkett was my hero growing up. That's what I listened to on the radio. His daughter lives next door, and she's a single mom. And so, every single mom needs what? Needs a man to help her out. There's just things that they need that they can't do. And so I was so excited I was able to serve her and help her. And she'll just text me if she needs something. Anything. And I love it because she's not afraid to ask me. And I love helping her. It makes me feel great. Like I matter. Marianne Williamson said this. Nelson Mandela gets credit for this, but actually Marianne Williamson actually wrote it and said it. Band, as you guys come up and as we get ready to respond, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does nothing to serve this world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Your timidness does nothing for God. But your humble service exalting the living God who created you. And if you're a Christ follower this morning who has put His Spirit inside of you to live for Him and make His name great, that's when you're the greatest. So will you give up so that someone else can receive? Will you look at the people around you as being greater than yourself? Will you look at the hardest situations in your life where instead of complaining about them, but praising God and worshiping Him, that He's sharpening you, He's maturing you, He's making you stronger and more resilient? Ask Him to bring the light that is within you that it might shine. See, when you see other people, do you see them as something that can be used for your own gain, or do you see them as creations of God to be loved and supported and developed and made great? Your greatest moment in your life will never be greater than when you are serving. When you're making God great, when you're making the mission great, when you're making the people in your life greater than yourself. That's greatness. That's where it begins. Will you stand? And let's respond. And maybe this morning for the first time in your life, you want to humble yourself before the great God, the only God, the creator of the universe. And maybe you want to receive Him this morning as your Lord and Savior and begin your greatest life. I'll be right here if you need me.
His word endures from beginning to end. To God be the glory. To God be the glory. Greater is the one who lives in me. Greater